so crammed with product, but they're more open and inviting.
It's one thing to make all this attention and set up and get there and everything else. Most of the time, ultimately, you want your goal to be to get orders, whether they're small or large, whatever it is, or you're focused on branding. Really, it comes down to being prepared to take orders. So I've actually consulted some inventors that after a trade show, they said, Brian, I think I bombed. I mean, I had this buyer, they were interested, and they started asking me questions, FOB, and all these things, and I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. Really, on the side of being ready to take orders, Colette, what do you think? I mean, have those order forms ready, know what your landed cost is, know what you're going to be selling, if it's a small order, if it's a large order, what the cost is, know when your products are going to be shipped to the retailers, if they want it direct, expectations of when you're going to get paid, just different things like that to be prepared. So when you do get an order, you have all these answers ready and not lose your opportunity there.
Yes, it's like the Boy Scouts. You're right. It's be prepared. Think of everything that you could possibly be asked and have an answer for that. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that's where your manufacturer's reps within the pet industry can really help you. Call them up and say, hey, have a consultation session with them. Some even offer free consultation sessions. And what should I be? I'm going to a trade show. What should I be ready for? What kind of questions am I going to be asked? And really do your homework and get your education and work with a rep. And I think that's probably the best advice I could give.
Yeah, that does sound very, very good for us. I appreciate that. Colette, when I go to trade shows, and let's say I go to visit one of my licensees. I've licensed a lot of products. I've sold some, but I've licensed quite a bit. And when I'm having conversations with my licensees at the trade shows, we look across the aisle and we see somebody. You could call them an inventor, you could call them an entrepreneur. They have one product, and I've heard it a couple times actually. My licensees say, "You see that guy over there? You see that girl over there? They're going to be coming to me. I like their product, but they insist on getting into a licensing deal to only make a small percentage, but they'll use us to, obviously for the distribution, they want to try to sell it on their own." What's your experience in your trade show when you do have a product and there's an inventor, new business, whatever, that may be using your trade show platform to potentially license their product, to find a partner, not necessarily sell their product because they don't have the distribution or they don't have the money for the inventory and they're looking for a partner. Is your Total Pet Expo a platform for that? Do you think there's been any kind of successful stories in that regard?
I think so. Yes, because a show is all about networking, and the more people you can meet, and because they can hook you up with, hey, I know somebody that might be interested in doing this, or licensing your product, or whatever it happens to be. It's all about face-to-face, and it's all about networking. So, yes, I've seen some success stories along those lines.
Okay, so anything's possible. I mean, we were talking about being prepared and being ready to take orders, but at the same time, on the other side, you can have your prototype or hopefully somewhat of a decent or pre-production sample and put available for licensing, and you might run into somebody that is involved there that says, hey, I love your product. It looks like you need some help. Maybe we'll help you out. We know somebody, or maybe it's us that can.
Yeah, and again, as I said before, ask the show manager. Like, hey, who should I be talking to? Is there anybody that you know of that would be good for me to speak to about what my goals are for the show? And they'll be able to help you out as well.
Okay. And as far as the post-show follow-up tips, you mentioned a few during the show. When you have that buyer, and it's that moment, that really exciting moment that after the buyer left and says, "I'm interested. Why don't you send me some samples and give me a ring?" And you send that out. And when is it that? And maybe you have some experience, or of some successful exhibitors with their follow-up tips of how they've followed up with those big buyers, small buyers, big orders, small orders. What has been successful for them?
I see more people now wanting to respond via email versus phone. So I would suggest that do a follow-up email. I know that when I attend a show, I just recently attended a show for exhibition organizers, and a lot of the badges were scanned, and I got the information, and I come back with so much stuff, and then I'm busy with my own work, and sometimes things fall through the cracks. But when I get that email, I got 3 emails today, just following up from the expo, wanted to know if we could chat, here's some additional information, and then it kind of jogs my memory, oh yeah, that was such and such a product that I was interested in. And never give up just by sending 1 email. You might have to send 3 or 4, but my best advice is don't give up. Just keep on plugging away, and you just never know what's going to happen.
Oh, it sounds like a
People
plan.
are so pressed for time these days. It's just hard to fit everything in.
Right.
So those little memory jogs help.
Right, and then also you don't know what they're doing at the moment that you're calling them. So it could be something that they catch on to, and just be persistent, but don't be annoying. You don't know what the definition of that is until you actually do it. But you try to catch that buyer's attention. I have to tell you, Colette, going to a trade show changed my life as an inventor. I met a buyer at one of these trade shows, and it really opened the door to many of my inventions getting licensed and or manufacturing and being able to get it out in retail, whether it's been on one of the home shopping networks or into many of the retailers, small and large. So it's really a great opportunity to get the exposure that you're looking for. But again, don't just expect, like Colette and I are both saying, it is possible, but it may be difficult. Expect to go there and brand your product. Don't expect to hit a home run, and it might not be the first time. It might be several, just like anything else. You get to know people, you network. You can't be shy. You should definitely get out there and get the word out and let people know and make some noise and be that interactive person to be able to get the exposure that you're looking for. And that's where you may have success going to an expo like this or any expo to be able to have a successful product launch.
Yeah, I think they've hit it right on the money and kind of summarized what we talked about. Don't expect to hit a home run. Maybe you hit a single the first time through, and be happy with that. The expectations sometimes are really high when people go to a trade show. I've spent all this money, and I haven't made my return on investment. Give it some time and look at it as a little bit of a longer term investment. And if you've got a good product and it's priced right and you make the right connections, you'll do well.
That sounds good. Colette, I usually ask this question. It seems like the whole show you've been giving it to us. But some final words of wisdom for inventors. There are inventors that are dreaming of having their product displayed at your show one day. They have their ideas in their mind right now. Some of them have prototypes, but they're not there yet. Some have a finished product, but are stuck with no money. Or they have maybe some inventory and they don't know what to do next. They're trying to, hawk their invention here and there, and maybe they haven't paid attention to exhibiting at a trade show. If you could just give us, if there's anything left from you to help us, give us some final words of wisdom on how to get our inventor experience to the next level, being an exhibitor at a trade show specifically.
I think, as we talked about, to be prepared, do your homework in advance, and talk to as many people in your particular industry as you can and ask questions. Get advice. Take all of that advice and then figure out what's good advice, what's bad advice, and figure out what you can realistically afford, and think. Have a strategic plan. Don't rush into anything. Have a plan and talk to the show manager. You'd be surprised at how much good information you can get.
And we always say this on all these shows that we do, and you've said it plenty of times tonight also, be prepared. No matter what you do, be prepared, do your research, you're in control. You make the decisions. You want to make yourself look the way you want to look, or your product the way you want people to perceive it. It's up to you. And going to these shows before you sign up as an exhibitor, go to some of the shows that you can go in as a guest. Get into the world of your industry by the magazines that we spoke about, finding those free publications within the industry, going to the trade shows as a guest, going to Total Pet Expo, walking around with the trade manager or paying a little bit. This is what you have to do. You're building your business. This is part of your due diligence, your research and development. Get into the world and take your ideas to the next level. And Colette, we really appreciate having you on our show. This has been fantastic. Some great tips. I know the inventors, entrepreneurs, new businesses, new product people out there, they're going to really appreciate listening to this show if they haven't live. And if you can tell us a little bit more about the website and how to sign up, or do we speak to you, or we call the trade show manager to find out more about Backer's Total Pet Expo? That's happening April 9th to 11th, 2014. The show will be archived. Actually, a radio show. This interview will be archived. So obviously after 2014, you can go to, what's the web address, Colette?
It's www.totalpetexpo.com. And if you take a look at how to contact us, you'll find information on who to contact if you're interested in exhibit space or just general information. But you'll find information on both of our shows at that website. We just rebranded and redid our website, so it's really easy to use, and there's some pictures there, so you can kind of get a feel for what the show is like as well.
It's a great-looking site. The one from April 9th to 11th, 2014 is in Atlantic City. So,
correct.
And then the one that's in the fall is where?
It's in Chicago area. It's right near O'Hare Airport, about 5 minutes from there, in a place called Rosemont, Illinois. That's September 19th through 21st, and that's going to be our 47th show coming up there.
Ooh, sounds good. And then I also know that you have some YouTube channels. You're on Facebook. You're on Twitter.
Yes, we just posted just recently. We've got 51 different videos on the show, interviews with exhibitors, interviews with buyers. So if you take a look through there on YouTube, you really kind of get a good feel for what the shows are all about.
Okay, so whether it's H.H. Backer's Total Pet Expo with Colette Fairchild there as the Tradeshow Director, or you have another industry that you're looking into getting into exhibiting or attending a trade show, there's plenty of sources out there online. I can suggest one that I like to use to look up trade shows. You could go to tsnn.com, Trade Show News Network, tsnn.com. You put in the industry and you put in your area, and you could see some of the upcoming shows. But specifically for Colette's trade show, which is the H.H. Backer's Total Pet Expo, you could go to totalpetexpo.com and find out more information, and all the contact info, videos, and so forth are all on there. Colette, really, really appreciate all your information tonight. Thank you. It was really great information. I know the inventors are really going to appreciate it as well.
Well, thanks, Brian, for having me on. I appreciate it as well.
Thank you. And thank you to our sponsors. I'd like to thank Inventors Digest. You can go to inventorsdigest.com. There's the print magazine, which is Inventors Digest. Or you can go to inventorsdigest.com for resources, for information for the inventor community, patentpride.com, quickpatents.com, getinventionhelp.com, and also United Inventors Association, UIAUSA.org. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Have a great night. Keep on inventing, and stay tuned for our next show. Go to gotinvention.com and stay up on upcoming shows, and you can listen to our past shows all at gotinvention.com. Have a great night. Keep on inventing.